to a Monday. Thank you for clicking on Sunrise Extra and joining us live this morning. We are talking about National Teach Appreciation Week. It is also, yes, Mother's Day is coming up this Sunday, but today we are all about the teachers because, boy, it's been a heck of a year, right? Yeah. So we want you to shout out, any teachers that you remember from when you were a kid, and what did you learn most importantly from them that you kind of still remember today? If you have kids now, what's a great teacher, how they helped your child, especially maybe during the pandemic. It's just super hard to learn right now, and so any teachers that are going above and beyond to make that a little easier or more fun, let's give them a shout out. So let's pull up our stream here. Drew, do you have any teacher stories that you recall?
First, I was just going to give some more shout outs to teachers in general.
Yes.
Now, honestly, because they can, make or break an entire school year, right? They have that power. And when you think about it, if you're a working parent, in all likelihood, the teacher that your child has, especially through the first 6 years, right, before they get into high school when they break up all their classes. But the teacher your child has in the younger years, that person spends more time during the course of the day with your child than you probably do. I mean, you get up with them, you get them off to school. When they come home, if you're working still, you don't see them till maybe 6 o'clock at night, and then it's time for bed at 8 or 9. You get the point. So this person is so influential in your child's life. And sometimes these teachers absolutely knock it out of the park, right? They go above and beyond. Sometimes, it's not as good. And the bottom line is, not everyone's going to be fantastic at what they do, right? You all hope to have the best doctor in the world. We all hope to have the best teacher in the world. And some years, you actually get that. And I can just think over the course of our sons' school careers now, in 7th grade they are, but I look back and I can quickly remember their second grade teacher and their 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Sotelo. I loved having teacher conferences with this woman. Because I go in there, I'm like, tell me more. Tell me more. You're fantastic. I love hearing you talk about my kids. Keep going, please. Yeah. And the boys, loved going to school that year. Every day, there was no complaints. It was smiles, come home, good stories. So I really appreciate those teachers that go above and beyond and make that connection with the kids and make them want to learn and make them enjoy going to school. Thank you.
Drew, your comments make me realize I spend more time with you on the average day than I do my wife, which is depressing. But
your wife, by the way, told me thank you.
So my daughter Natasha, I'm gonna shout out her favorite teacher. She had Mrs. Barnes at Sarah J. Anderson Elementary up in Hazeldale. For her, I want to say it was her 4th and 5th grade year, but Mrs. Barnes actually changed years one year, and she was my daughter's favorite teacher. And then Natasha was so excited that she got to have her that 2nd year. And Mrs. Barnes, just like so many teachers, just a very loving, caring person, and I know she is somebody that my daughter will always think back of very fondly, forever. Yeah,
that is so cool. I mean, it's been a long time, but you remember your primary school teachers, Miss Haley, Mrs. Thomas, Mrs. Toby, Miss DeVoe, Mr. Valley, Mrs. Carlin, and Mrs. Sharp.
Wow.
So that was K through 6.
Wow.
Good job. They are amazing people. And when you're a little one, it's like, they're God.
You look up to them
Absolutely
so much.
you do. Yeah.
I don't know if I could do that.
I can't do that. I know I can't do that. Mrs. Smith, 6th grade for sure. Mrs. Smith. Sister Brian in 8th grade, went to a Catholic grade school there outside of Philadelphia. So Sister Brian for sure in 8th grade. I can't think who the heck my 7th grade teacher was. In between those two.
By 7th grade, we were in middle school in McMinnville. So 7th, 8th, 9th, we spread out and they were all over the place. Mr. Valley, my 4th grade teacher, came to the station years ago. I think he worked in the area and he just dropped by to say hello. And I was grown and I couldn't stop calling him Mr. Valley.
Isn't that weird?
Rudy. And I'm like, I can never call you Rudy.
It's so weird.
You're always Mr. Valley.
Right.
I'll give one more shout out because I mentioned our boys had 2 teachers during primary school that I thought were fantastic. Mrs. Sotelo was the one. The other, I was like, the name was escaping me there for a moment, but it was a candidate, Miss Lilligren. And I loved Miss Lilligren actually lived in our neighborhood, not on our street, but close enough. And that's pretty cool, right? When your teacher lives in that same neighborhood. So one day,
that's so weird to see them out of the setting, and you're like, oh, you're like grocery shopping.
It'd probably be weirder if the kid didn't get along with the teacher. But again, this is one of those A+ teachers. One day our boys were in the garage, and I don't know what they were doing in there. there monkeying around, and she was walking up the street towards where she lived, and she spotted them in there, and she could tell that they did not see her. So they're out there by themselves, and she sneaks up on them. And she like went to the side of the garage where, like, you know, behind the door where they couldn't see her, and then she kind of stuck her head in and was like, boo. And those kids jumped. I came outside to find out what was going on, and she's like, just messing with the boys. And like, that's how cool she was, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, so she was a great one. Miss Lilligren, thank you for being an awesome teacher.
Nina, you're absolutely right, though. When you see, especially as a kid, when you see your teacher in real life, like, you don't think they exist out of the classroom.
Totally.
Right.
I'm going to shout out Darcy Kriska. She taught for years. I don't know that she still does. Maybe she's retired by now. I'm not sure. Selwood Middle School. And you have to be a special breed to teach those middle school kids, seriously, because there's so much energy all over the place.
Yeah.
But my daughter and her daughter were friends. They grew up together. So by the time Jaden hit middle school, she was in Miss Kriska's class, but she knew her. And Darcy could be like, woo, super fun or super stern. And when Zach came and Ms. Kriska would show up at our house and he was in her class, it just weirded him out to no end. It was just like, oh my God, Miss Kriska's at the door. What do
My
I do?
teacher's at my house. What's going on?
There's a teacher that lived 2 doors down from us for a long while there, for about 8 years. Prior to this house, we lived in a house where, again, we were 2 doors down from a local teacher. Now, she never taught our boys, but she used to tell me, like, Drew, I think it's a bigger deal when I show up at Safeway than when you show up there. Like, she was like the local celebrity, right? Like, all the kids like, oh, there she is. There's Mrs. Boyer. There she is. She goes, I can't, you know, she said, I really can't go to the store and get things done quickly, because she knows that she's going to stop 2 or 3 times getting her groceries.
That's awesome.
So many. Oh, we got people now shouting out. Diana Foreign says, yes, good and great and dedicated and decent and helpful and honest teachers. She's a teacher herself. She's retired now. She remembers a teacher, Miss Crudson, who was the best Latin teacher ever. Susan Decker shouting out her 2nd grade, Mrs. Dixon. She would tie my shoe even if she was in the middle of reading time. That's so
very sweet. Yeah.
I had Latin for 2 years in high school, by the way. 9th and 10th grade, Latin.
We learned it in English class, like the prefixes and suffixes, and
Yeah.
we're very much tested on those, which actually it helps you a lot in grammar. But I'm emceeing an event for a Jesuit high school this coming Saturday. They're doing their auction and doing a virtual fundraiser this year. And so I went out to the school, that's my school, the other week to do some like little promos and social media videos. And my newspaper teacher, my journalism teacher, from Jesuit, which I had for 2 years when I was a little writer for school newspaper. He's the principal now, and I still call him Mr. Hogan. And he's like, Nina, it's Paul. I'm like, same thing though, Brent. I'm like, it's too weird. I can't do that. But every time I go back to Jesuit, it's like the most special thing. Like my English teacher is still there, and she is just the most fun adult now to kind of know and joke around with. And some of my very same teachers, all the football coaches, a lot of the sports coaches are the same ones and still there. And it's just really neat to kind of walk the hallways and see everyone again.
Did you say Mr. Hogan's first name was Paul?
Paul Hogan.
Crocodile Dundee was your teacher?
Right.
Not that.
That's not a knife.
Oh my gosh,
that's a
McMinnville High
knife.
School, Mr. Maybe. He was the football coach. He also, I think, taught health. He was hilarious. Mrs. Six was the English teacher. She was tough, but boy, did she get me ready for college. Like that college AP English or whatever they called it back then. Amazing. And I just have to apologize to some teachers, like let's see, Mr. Rima, he was the chemistry teacher. Dear God, I don't know how you thought you taught me anything, because I was such a math and science bonehead. But he was so sweet. I loved him. Mr. Moss, the math teacher, again, not my strong suit.
I can't believe how many you remember.
Yeah, that's
It is
pretty
crazy.
I totally do. How do you not remember that? That seems like such a formative time. Like they had such a big influence on all of us.
Christy Shirk says she loves it when former students come up to her and say hi and talk to her. For her, she remembers in junior high school, Mr. Thompson.
I am like struggling right now to remember my kindergarten teacher. I can picture her.
Oh, Mrs. Richardson was mine.
Oh, very good, Rod.
Yeah.
You were Mrs. Richardson. Brenda, your kindergarten teacher was? Again, you mentioned it earlier.
Mrs. Haley.
Mrs. Haley. Nina, any idea? Do you remember
Kindergarten?
that? Yeah.
I have no idea.
No idea.
Really?
No idea. Wow.
Kindergarten?
I
am so
remember so
close.
many things about kindergarten. I remember that some Poor little boy ate his pencil lead, and he got to have his lunch early.
What's up with kids doing stuff like that?
Putting stuff in their mouth.
Eating
I don't
the
know.
paste?
Yeah, right.
There's no paste anymore. That's
Yeah.
old fashioned, but
Pam Moore says, Mrs. Finkencyper taught me 4th grade math 50 years ago, and Pam is now a college math instructor.
Nice.
So there
That's
was
awesome.
the inspiration, it sounds like, for her career, her teacher. Yeah.
I remember Holly Pickhaver kissing me on the cheek underneath the table in kindergarten.
Ooh.
Yeah, a little peck on the cheek.
In kindergarten?
Yeah.
Wow.
Can't do that right now during COVID.
Did you jump
That's
back
not
and
allowed.
hit your head on the table like a comedy act?
I think I just froze there, Nina.
What's happening? Paul Kenny, one of our managers, says, Mrs. Fulton for 3rd grade, this is awesome because she had tortoises, snakes, butterflies, and hamsters in the
cool.
classroom, made learning fun.
Yeah, you definitely remember that.
Yeah, you
Did you
do.
guys have class pets ever?
Yes.
You did?
Yeah. I don't remember all of them,
Yeah.
but I remember when Jaden was in school, they had these 2 rats in this huge cage. I swear it was as tall as I was. And the kids would get to take it home on vacation. And over
on weekends and stuff?
Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
no, like, I
Just
don't
long
know.
trips, yeah.
Over Thanksgiving, we got, I called them Matzah and Meatball. I'm certainly that's not their name.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, these things, ew. But I was a
But
good
were they
mom,
kind
and
of
I
sweet?
sucked
I've
it
heard
up
rats
and-
are like great pets.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
We had Noah the boa.
Noah
the boa. Boa constrictor.
That is awesome.
And I remember, in class, good sized snake, right? We'd take out Noah and, wrap him around our shoulders and all that. Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Boa.
Noah the boa.
That's hilarious.
That is funny. Good job, Rob.
Yeah.
Good job, Brenda, remembering these names. Nina and I are coming up a little short in the name that teacher department.
Isn't that funny? I thought everybody would remember that. Renee Robertson says too many over the years from grade school through high school. She's in the same boat as you two.
I remember certain ones, but yeah, not kindergarten.
April says, Miss Wright, 2nd grade, she gave me hope and life in the midst of great trials at home. If you've seen Matilda, I always say Miss Wright was my Miss Honey. So again, someone that kind of helped calm the waters, it sounds like a little bit. Yeah.
Another big fan of the show, Renee Robertson, chiming in this morning, talking about Miss Schnitzler. Schnitzler from Salmon Creek Elementary School in Vancouver. She says she had a classroom chinchilla.
Oh, cool.
That's different.
I would love to pet a chinchilla. That'd be cool.
Wow.
Chinchilla.
True. Were you a quiet student? When did you morph into the person you are
I feel
today?
like you asked that question
Yes.
knowing the answer is
When did
no.
you become a big mouth, Drew?
Were you always just like totally off the chain, just like, woo?
A couple of examples that that answer being yes. One, I was strategically placed amongst the quietest girls in class typically, right? Like if they had a pod of 4 desks, it'd be me surrounded by 3 quiet, studious girls that just would not pay attention to me if I did try to talk to them. Also, in like 4th grade, brought home the report card. Now, always a good student, as you could probably imagine, right? Brain, big. But sometimes the behavior marks were not on par with the math, science, and writing marks. And the comments on the back of this one report card, it just said 3 words. The teacher wrote, Drew's, oh, I guess it's 4 words. That's how smart I am. Drew's behavior is abominable.
Oh, you got abominable?
Abominable.
Wow.
Dang.
My mom was
What
like
did you
floored.
do?
Floored. Of course, you could write she could write you could write a comment back to the teacher. My mom wrote, I looked up abominable in the dictionary and I'm just disgusted with that remark. Not mad at the teacher, mad at Drew. Please be more specific and let me know what he's doing that's so abominable in the classroom.
What were you doing? Just talking?
A lot of disruption
nonstop.
stuff, yeah.
But not like mean things?
No, I mean, I wasn't fighting. I wasn't calling people names. I think I was just disruptive, making jokes, annoying probably, as you can imagine again. You can imagine all this, I'm sure.
That didn't play well when you were in grade school either. I think
one time I
people
do remember.
have different, things and ways that they deal with children who need a little more activity.
Yeah.
One time I did hit the girl's head in front of me who was getting a drink from the water fountain at the time, and that was dumb. And I wasn't doing it mean, I just felt like I was kind of playful, like flirting almost as
I
a
hate
5th
boys at
grader.
that age.
And like, and I hit her head, and she hit her tooth on the water fountain.
Oh,
and I remember like begging and pleading with her I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do it. Please don't say anything.
Ew, that's terrible.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was,
Did the nuns punish you?
Yeah. I think I told you before, Sister Brian, the 8th grade teacher, she raised me up with one stinking hand.
yeah.
Like lifted. She got me by the collar after I threw water on the heater down the hall, like one of those gas heaters, and like the steam would come up from it. And furnaces, and then she grabbed me by the collar and she lifted me up off the ground. I mean, full, that was probably about 3 feet between my feet and the floor. And she had me up there for a solid, 2 minutes while she lectured me about what a loser I was and how I wasn't going to go on the class trip to Washington, D.C. if I kept up this behavior. Do you understand?
Wow.
Did you shape
And
up?
I have no problem telling your mom this. I think she would have the same reaction I'm having right now.
And you got to go, Drew? Do you remember the trip?
Her calves were humongous. If I put both of my thighs together right now, that would equal one of Sister Brian's calves. And they were just these solid pieces of rock muscle.
Solid.
Yeah, did you go on the trip though?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Rodney, did you ever get in trouble in school?
Oh, I may have gotten in trouble. I don't. Well, there's one episode I'd rather not talk about.
Do it.
But I will tell you that.
Come on.
Can't do that.
No, it was
Sounds like you were very wrong. And
No, we were on a drama debate team bus trip, and many of us were caught.
oh god.
The slowness
in high school,
of this is
drinking
making
on the
me
bus.
uncomfortable.
But the bad thing is that so we were all banished from the upcoming school play, which was about 2 weeks away.
I missed what
And
you
it-
did.
and it
What did you do?
we
Sorry.
had, I think we had
Exclaiming.
some beer in a bag or something like that, alcohol.
Oh, no.
And so with 2 weeks to go, and most of us were the lead characters in this play. I wasn't one of the leads, but I had a speaking part. And so we were all banished from the play, so they had to recast the main characters.
Oh, wow.
2 weeks out, and then we all did have to go to the play, but we helped out doing things like cleaning up.
Yeah.
And taking tickets and things like that.
You rabble
That's
rouser.
not that bad.
It's not great either.
That was my big lesson.
Pretty bad.
It's pretty bad for the drama teacher who had to recast the whole
in a
darn
year.
play 2 weeks before it
Rod's
debuted.
understudy.
Yeah.
We apologize, ladies and
I'm
gentlemen.
embarrassed to talk about that to this day. I feel like
are?
I'm blushing a little bit. Yeah.
The role of Mr. Finks will not be played by Rod Hill tonight. He was drinking beer on the back of the bus.
I want to know what Mrs. Hill said about that. I bet your mom doesn't play.
yeah.
I cannot imagine
No,
you
my-
going home and having to face mom and dad.
No, I grew up in the old, what they used to say, there's no gray. It's black and white. This is either right or that's wrong, right? And there was not much of any discussion when you were on the wrong end of the line. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Back then, for the most part, parents and teachers seem to be in agreement, right? Am I overstating that or generalizing that too much?
That's right. That's
And
right.
in this day and age, it's quite the opposite.
Yeah.
When did in what
I
year
don't
did that
know, but
start to go
yes,
the other
I
way?
think that's.
Yeah, I think my parents almost felt like, well, we still have to punish you, but our load has been lifted a little bit because the teacher punished you. So I think they viewed it as, well, there's a little something we don't have to do.
All right, more from the audience, please. Teachers.
Do you guys know Paul R? And I don't know if this is. I don't know what it is, so I don't know if this is. I'm going to ask him first.
Oh my God, Renee Robinson says, shame on you, Rod. See, I didn't want to share that story. I feel
But she's
bad.
smiling.
I feel bad.
The statute of limitations has definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
All
I say
right.
shout it from the
Well, now you're saying I'm old. Now I feel old and bad, Brenda.
I agree.
Oh my gosh, let's see. Sheila Speck, I remember all the elementary school teachers, but only a few in junior high and high school because there were so many. It was kind of cool though when you move up to junior high, or definitely it was old hat by the time you got into high school, but junior high, like you had what, 6 or 7 periods? And like you just go from class to class? I remember I got a C in home ec because I was a talker too.
You got a C at home ec?
I mean,
People
that was
take that to
such
get an A.
Exactly.
And what you-
because I would not stop talking,
Oh.
they gave me a C.
Okay,
Oh,
here's what
wow.
the answer is. Okay, so Paul R. on YouTube. Hello, everyone watching on YouTube. He says, I got in trouble for cherry bombing the boys' room at Kellogg Middle School, and I got 2 weeks to think about it. And so I was nervous. I'm like, what is cherry bombing?
Right.
So I Googled it. It's when you smoke weed. You use the lighter on low. Anyway.
Really? Yeah.
So he's smoked weed in the boys' room and got 2 weeks.
That's where that song comes from.
Director Brian.
Oh, maybe.
Exactly
Well, I'm on Urban Dictionary. It's probably
Like
maybe it's
cherry
actually
bomb
like
used to
the
be-
little fireworks.
I think that's what it is.
Maybe he should just clarify for us and tell us what did you get
I know.
in
I
trouble
asked
for
him.
for 2
He
weeks?
says it's an ME firecracker. Okay. Sorry, Paul.
There you go.
I slandered your name. I slandered your name in
Not that
middle
there's
school.
anything
It's
wrong with
actual
that.
fireworks.
Yeah,
I don't know what's
exactly.
worse, fireworks inside or
Well, now
smoking
it's
weed.
legal. Back
Yeah.
then it was a little bigger deal.
Yeah.
I've got a comment from a viewer named Katie, who I know watches this show very often, Katy Katie. She says, can I change it up and appreciate my students? So we're hearing from a
nice.
teacher
Yeah.
who wants to turn this direction a little bit and focus on her students. She says, it's been a crazy year. My fourth graders have been so resilient. They have persevered through all of it. She says, I appreciate them for still coming to Zoom class every day, for trying really hard, and for keeping me laughing through this year. She is Katie Loreno.
That's awesome. Thank you, Katie.
That's amazing.
You guys, everyone watching, all of us on Sunrise, we had like a 2-hour Zoom meeting last week, one day.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the longest Zoom I've been on to date. Is thank God is this 2-hour meeting. But afterwards, were you guys like wiped out?
Well, you made a great point right
I
after
was
the
just
meeting.
like,
you said,
oh.
this is what kids are going through every day.
Yes, and I'm
Times
like every
3.
single day, and they're doing it like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
I could not handle the 2 hours. I was just like dying, and then for some reason felt exhausted afterwards.
That's funny.
So,
Two-hour
yes,
meeting, and
props
then
to
I went
them.
into another half-an-hour meeting, and we zoomed all morning.
I do know
Not
that,
easy.
you know, some teachers, I'm sure, and teachers who are watching can weigh in. I think they do try to break up those classes, so it is not just an endless Zoom call all class long. Like, you know, they'll have the students break out and go work on something by themselves, come back to the Zoom meeting later. But there is a whole lot of screen time, whether you're working alone or in this Zoom setting with the group. And, you know, you do wonder, what is this year plus of school, how it's going to impact them down the road, long term? I feel like they need a school reset and reboot when we do go back to normal, because I don't think our kids can handle a full 6 hours outside of their bedroom for 5 days a week. It's going to be like a whole new reality again for them.
Although my daughter, you know, it sounds like she's going to get to go up in Clark County from 2 to 4 days here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And she's very excited about it. We asked her over the weekend, and she was like,
All
very
for it.
excited. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, absolutely. The whole routine to get back to where, you know, they're getting on the bus, going to school, interacting with the kids every day, normally, coming home, maybe doing some homework. They haven't really had homework. They tell me every day, we get the homework done during school. Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great.
We'll get there.
Efficient.
We'll get there eventually.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for weighing in, giving shout outs. That was a lot of fun. Enjoy your Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.